You've probably spent years, maybe your whole life, believing that you're just bad with money. There's that little voice in your head, right? That one that whispers that you're lazy or impulsive or that you're just not trying hard enough. But what if that voice is wrong? What if that's a lie you've been told and a lie you've been telling yourself? The real reason you dread checking your bank account, the reason your finances feel like a total mess, isn't some deep character flaw. It's a hidden emotional battle, a psychological loop that traps so many of us with ADHD. In this video, we're going to pull back the curtain on that exact loop. And more importantly, I'm going to share one simple framework you can use to finally break free. And I promise it has nothing to do with a complicated budget that you're just going to ditch in a week. So let's be honest for a second. Have you ever felt that pit in your stomach, that gut wrenching nervous feeling when you finally work up the nerve to look at your credit card bill? Or have you ever had a package show up at your door and for a split second, you have zero memory of actually ordering the thing? Maybe for you, it's the quiet shame of the ADHD tax. You know, the late fees on bills you completely meant to pay, your tabs not getting renewed on time, happened to me this week, so that you can't drive your car anywhere legally for a while. The produce rotting in the fridge that you were so excited to cook, or buying the same set of keys for the third time because you can never find them. For years, the world has been shouting the same advice at us. Just make a budget. You need more self-control. Track every single penny. So we try. Of course we try. We download the shiny new budgeting app, create the color-coded spreadsheet, and swear to ourselves that this time it's going to stick. But a week later, we've forgotten the app exists, the spreadsheet just makes us anxious, and we're right back to where we started. But now, with an extra helping of guilt, maybe even shame for failing. Again, here's the simple truth. That advice was never built for a brain like ours. Most financial tips rely on strong executive functioning and steady emotional regulation, the very things that are a challenge with ADHD. They require constant focus, perfect organization, and the ability to delay gratification, which for us can feel like trying to climb a waterfall. This is not a moral failing. It's not a weakness. You are not bad with money. You have a brain that is just wired differently, and that means you need a different instruction manual. The first step is understanding what's actually going on underneath it all. So if it's not a character flaw, what is it? It's a powerful, invisible cycle. It's a loop that starts not with your money, but in your mind and your emotions. Let me paint you a picture. It's Tuesday. You've had a rough day. Your boss, whether that was an actual boss or the boss in your head, was breathing down your neck. Your to-do list feels like it was a mile long, and now you just feel drained. You're wrestling with that classic cocktail of frustration, boredom, and maybe a little bit of sadness. You get home, open your laptop, and tell yourself you're just going to browse. And then you see it. That perfect thing you've been thinking about. A new gadget, a cool jacket, or maybe supplies for a hobby you became obsessed with 2 weeks ago. In that moment, your brain isn't thinking logically about rent or savings. Your brain, especially the part of it that's always looking for a little kick of dopamine, sees an answer. ADHD is linked to how our brains regulate the neuromodulator dopamine, which is tied to pleasure, motivation, and reward, and also helps with other executive functioning. Your brain is basically scanning the horizon for anything that will give it a quick boost, especially because you feel so crappy. And that glowing add to cart button looks very, very promising. So you click it. You put in your info. Maybe it's saved, which is dangerously easy. And for a glorious but very brief moment, you feel it. A rush. Relief from the stress of the day. All those negative feelings just fade away. That is the dopamine hit your brain was looking for. It's a way of soothing yourself. a coping mechanism for dealing with big, intense emotions, which is a core problem for people with ADHD. But what happens next? The next morning or a few days later, when the box arrives, that rush is gone. And what's in its place? Guilt, shame, regret. Why did I spend that? I really shouldn't have done that. I'm so irresponsible. The financial stress comes crashing back down, creating the exact negative feelings you were trying to escape. And that's the loop. A negative feeling like stress or boredom triggers an impulsive action like spending, which gives you temporary relief. That relief is then followed by guilt and shame, which creates more stress and puts you right back in that negative state, making you even more vulnerable to the next impulse. It's a vicious cycle. And breaking it isn't about having more willpower, it's about interrupting the pattern. So, how do you break a cycle that's tangled up in your brain chemistry? You don't fight it head on with willpower. Instead, you build a system around it. I want you to think of it like a financial exoskeleton. It's an external support structure you create to help with internal challenges of executive function and emotional overwhelm. This isn't about changing who you are, it's about giving yourself the scaffolding you need to succeed. This strategy has three main parts that work together to build that exoskeleton. Part one, automate your defenses. This first rule is to take your impulsive self out of the moment as much as possible. Automation is your best friend here. This means setting up systems that just work in the background without needing you to remember or do anything. The second your paycheck lands in your account, before you even have a chance to think about how to spend it, your automated defenses should kick in. First, set up an automatic transfer to a savings account. And to make it even more effective, open that savings account at a totally different bank, making it just a little bit harder to get to it on a whim. This is you paying your future self first. Second, put every single recurring bill on autopay. Rent, utilities, phones, subscriptions, all of it. This does more than just avoid late fees, it shrinks the number of financial decisions you have to make. Every decision uses up mental energy, so automating them frees you up for more important things. Part two is to create your dopamine menu. This part tackles the emotional heart of the spending loop. We know that impulsive spending is often just a hunt for a dopamine hit to feel better. So what if you had other, healthier options ready to go? This is your dopamine menu. I want you to actually sit down and write out a list. You could even pause this video. Write out a list of at least 10 free or cheap activities that give you a real sense of pleasure, fun, or accomplishment. Don't just think about it. Physically write it down. Put it on your fridge. Make it your phone's lock screen or stick it on your computer. Maybe all of those things. This list is all about you. It could be listening to a specific high energy playlist, watching a favorite funny video, calling that friend who always makes you laugh, doing a 15-minute blitz clean of one corner of your room. For me, it would have to be like blitz organizing, clean, playing one level of a video game if you're a gamer, or just walking around the block. Or for me, hugging a tree. The next time you feel that pull, that boredom, the stress, the urge to open Amazon, your new job is to look at your dopamine menu first. Pick one thing and just do it. The goal is to show your brain that there are other, better ways to get the stimulation it wants. You're carving out a new path in your brain, one that leads to relief without regret. This last piece is all about short-circuiting that need for instant gratification. The rule is simple. For any non-essential purchase over a certain amount, let's say $50 to start, you have to give yourself a mandatory 24-hour cooling off period. If you see something online you want, you can absolutely add it to the cart, but you cannot check out. Close the tab, wait a full 24 hours. This small delay is magic. It separates the intense emotion of wanting from the action of spending. It gives the thoughtful part of your brain a chance to catch up and ask questions like, do I really need this? Or how am I going to feel about this tomorrow? And a little tip, I actually find it helpful to put things on my wish list. And if I'm still thinking about it in a week or a month or something like that, depending on how big of a purchase it is, then I can go get it. But usually I've completely forgotten whatever seemed so crucial in that moment. 9 times out of 10, by the next day, that intense, I have to have it now feeling will fade. And it certainly does for me when I wait a week or a month. The dopamine craving will have passed, and you can make a clear decision instead of an emotional one. This isn't about punishing yourself, it's about adding a little bit of helpful friction to protect yourself from your brain's temporary glitches. Building this exoskeleton takes a little bit of time, but it's a system that finally works with your brain instead of against it. It accepts the reality of ADHD and offers real, compassionate support. Now, I'd love to hear from you. That dopamine menu is such a powerful tool. So tell me in the comments, like help yourself get started. What's one thing you would put on your personal dopamine menu? What's a free, quick activity that you know lifts your spirit? Sharing your ideas might spark the perfect thing for someone else. And if this video hit home for you, if you felt seen and understood, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell. We're all in this together, trying to find strategies that are built for the brains we actually have. For so long, the story about ADHD and money has been all about shame. We've been made to feel like we're broken or irresponsible. But the simple truth is this: you're not bad with money. You have a brain that's in a constant tug of war between big emotions and a search for dopamine. Traditional budgeting is like telling someone who needs glasses to just squint harder. It was never going to work. The answer isn't to try harder with the wrong strategy. It's to build the right one by creating your financial exoskeleton, automating your essentials, curating your dopamine menu, and using an impulse lock. You stop depending on willpower, which we know runs out, and start relying on a smart system that has your back. You can take back control. You can break this loop. The most important step is the one you just took, understanding that you are not the problem. Your brain just needs a better instruction manual. And now you have the first few pages. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.